On March 26, 2025, Sweden unveiled a transformative military policy shift, announcing plans to increase defense spending to 3.5% of its GDP by 2035, nearly tripling its current budget over the next decade. This ambitious $30 billion buildup, spearheaded by Defense Minister Pål Jonson, marks the country's most significant military expansion since the Cold War, reflecting its new role as a NATO member and heightened concerns over Russian aggression in the region. With current spending at approximately 1.2% of GDP, or $11 billion in 2024, this escalation to roughly $40 billion annually by 2035 positions Sweden well above NATO's 2% guideline, which it already anticipates exceeding this year at 2.2%. Funded largely through borrowing, the plan includes investments in advanced weaponry like air defense systems, submarines, and Saab's next-generation Gripen jets, alongside enhanced cyber defenses and substantial aid to Ukraine, such as the ASC-890 airborne early warning aircraft. Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson framed this as a necessary response to extraordinary times, citing Russia's war in Ukraine and uncertainties over future U.S. commitment to NATO, particularly as the alliance prepares for its June 2025 summit in The Hague. For Sweden, this dramatic pivot ends decades of military non-alignment, cementing its integration into NATO following its formal entry in March 2024. The financial strategy, however, introduces risks. Relying on debt could strain Sweden's economy, traditionally balanced by a robust welfare state, potentially igniting domestic debate over fiscal priorities. Critics might argue that such borrowing undermines Sweden's long-term economic stability, especially if global interest rates rise or if the defense buildup fails to yield proportional security gains. Yet, the upside is significant. The defense industry, already thriving with record exports of $2.9 billion in 2024, stands to gain further, boosting employment and technological innovation. Saab, a cornerstone of Sweden's military-industrial complex, is poised to expand production, potentially positioning Sweden as a leading supplier of advanced systems within NATO. Strategically, Sweden aims to fortify its northern borders and the Baltic Sea, where Russia's growing presence threatens stability. Training elite troops for Arctic warfare and modernizing bases near Russia signal a clear intent to deter aggression, particularly around the strategically vital Gotland Island, often dubbed the unsinkable aircraft carrier of the Baltic. This shift elevates Sweden's stature within NATO, positioning it as a linchpin in the alliance's northeastern defenses, alongside Finland, which joined NATO in 2023. Regionally, Sweden's military buildup reshapes security dynamics in Northern Europe, strengthening NATO's posture against Russia. Paired with Finland's 1,340-kilometer border with Russia, Sweden's enhanced capabilities create a formidable Scandinavian buffer, particularly in the Arctic and Baltic Sea, areas critical for trade, energy, and military positioning. The increased aid to Ukraine, including billions in munitions and equipment, amplifies pressure on Moscow, potentially forcing it to divert resources from other fronts. However, this escalation may provoke Russia, which has historically viewed Nordic militarization with suspicion. Social media chatter on X suggests Moscow could retaliate with hybrid tactics like cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, or even economic pressure, testing Sweden's resilience before its new capabilities fully mature. Russian naval exercises in the Baltic and intensified intelligence operations near Swedish waters, reported as recently as early March 2025, underscore this risk. For NATO, Sweden's commitment could galvanize other European members to bolster their own defenses, reducing dependence on the US and fostering a more equitable alliance, though the years-long timeline for Sweden's buildup leaves a window of vulnerability that Russia might exploit. Comparing Sweden's plans to regional rivals underscores its strategic ambition. Russia, the primary concern, spends roughly 5.9% of its GDP on defense, around $109 billion in 2024, though its economy is heavily strained by sanctions and war costs. Sweden's 3.5% target, while lower, leverages a stronger economy, GDP of $635 billion versus Russia's $1.8 trillion, and cutting-edge technology, offering a qualitative edge over Russia's often outdated systems. For instance, Sweden's Gripen jets outmatch many Russian counterparts in agility and cost-effectiveness, while its submarines are tailored to counter Russia's Baltic fleet. Finland, Sweden's closest NATO ally, spends about 2.3% of GDP, approximately $6.5 billion, with plans to reach 2.5% by 2030, focusing on ground forces and artillery along its Russian border. Sweden's broader scope, air, naval, and cyber, complements Finland's approach, creating a synergistic deterrent that could overwhelm Russia's regional resources if coordinated effectively. Norway, another neighbor, allocates 2% of GDP, with $10 billion, emphasizing naval and Arctic assets. Sweden's higher target could push Norway to accelerate its own spending, particularly given their shared interest in Arctic security. Meanwhile, non-NATO Baltic states like Lithuania, 2.5% of GDP, or $2 billion, lack Sweden's industrial base but share its urgency, suggesting potential for deeper regional cooperation, perhaps through joint procurement or training initiatives. Delving deeper into Sweden's strategy, the focus on hybrid threats, cyber attacks, disinformation, and economic sabotage reflects lessons from Russia's playbook in Ukraine and beyond. Sweden's national defense radio establishment is likely to see increased funding to counter these risks, building on its reputation as one of Europe's top signals intelligence agencies. This capability could prove decisive in preempting Russian moves, especially in the information domain, where Moscow has targeted Nordic unity with propaganda. Additionally, Sweden's Arctic ambitions tie into broader NATO concerns about Russia's militarization of the High North, where melting ice opens new shipping lanes and resource opportunities. By training specialized units and investing in cold weather technology, Sweden positions itself as a key player in this emerging theater, potentially collaborating with Canada and the US to secure NATO's northern flank. Economically, the buildup could strain Sweden's fiscal discipline, but it also offers a chance to diversify its economy. The defense sector's growth might offset losses in other areas, such as manufacturing, hit by global supply chain disruptions. Moreover, Sweden's commitment to Ukraine, beyond immediate aid, could secure long-term partnerships, ensuring Stockholm a voice in post-war reconstruction efforts. Politically, Kristersson's government may face pushback from pacifist-leaning factions, like the Left Party, but public support for NATO, polling at 65% in late 2024, suggests broad backing for this shift, especially as Russian threats loom larger. For regional security, Sweden's plan could catalyze a mini-arms race among NATO members, pressuring countries like Denmark, with 1.4% of GDP, to step up. It also strengthens the Baltic Sea's defenses, where Russia's Kaliningrad enclave remains a flashpoint. If Sweden deploys advanced missile defenses on Gotland, it could neutralize much of Russia's regional air threat, shifting the balance of power. However, the decade-long timeline means NATO must bridge the gap with existing forces, possibly increasing US or UK deployments in the interim, a prospect complicated by domestic politics in those countries.